Talib!
What's up, bro? I'm just tired, bro.
Good morning, you guys. What is going on? Riley here. Today, it's kind of a sad day because we are taking the good old Mustang back into its stock form. So I have had this car now for almost 10 months, and that's actually really impressive for me. And 5 of those months, this car was modified. The other 5, it was basically bone stock with the aftermarket exhaust. So we'll talk more about the ownership experience of having a slightly modified Mustang in a little bit. But first, I wanted to show you guys my buddy Talib's car, who's more than just a slightly modified Mustang. What's up, buddy?
What's up, bro? It's early.
Talib just woke up. He's helping me today. So we'll get a quick little cold start of his boosted S550 Mustang. Wow. Talib's got a, well, I want to say pretty much almost everything is touched on this car, including, well, a little bit of engine work with this here little Paxton and a fully built trans. He's got an auto, and this thing probably makes somewhere about 7 to 750 wheel horsepower with a built trans. I mean, everything on his car is pretty much touched. So what at this point, what's your weak link?
I'd say the motor.
Okay, so yeah, the motor could blow up at any moment, but we'll just not worry about that.
Hey, go on the other side. Go on the other side.
Okay. Going on the other side, I don't know why. I bet your neighbors hate you. Well, yeah, I'd say that's pretty freaking sweet. So I know a lot of you guys wanted me to boost my car out there. So if you're disappointed that I didn't boost my car, go give Talib a follow on Instagram. And he's also gonna try to start posting some YouTube videos, but that's his Instagram right there. So go give him a follow, tell him he's got a slow car. So some of you might have noticed that I went back to the stock spoiler back here, and in my opinion, it looks pretty terrible. So I swapped the stock spoiler back on and the stock side markers and the stock LED reverse light, and I gave all of those to Talib, well, except for the spoiler. But all the lighting I gave to Talib, and then the spoiler, I don't know, I'll find somebody to sell it to, I guess. That's like the fastest garage door I've ever seen in my life. It's faster than my 30 roll.
It's not, you know, chain driven. It's like a little wire thing.
Wow. So Talib is helping me out today in his good old trusty Tundra Daily, and we're going to be going down to Mr. J-Rod Speed Shop to drop off my car along with a lot of, well, not a lot, but several parts to take this thing back to stock. So yeah, fun. Alright, so for today's review, we're going to be reviewing this sick Ford Raptor. Haha, psych. So, we are actually over here at my parents' house. I left all of my stock parts to my car here. Shout out Mom and Dad, you guys are the real MVPs. So I got my full catback exhaust there, the manifolds and all the, you know, cats and connecting pipes and all that fun stuff. And then the cold air intake. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's really about it, and all the miscellaneous parts there. And yeah, so we're gonna load this all up in Talib's truck and then head on down to J-Rod Speed Shop.
I'm getting stuck in this bitch.
All right, well, we have finished now. Talib, what are you doing, boy?
I don't want this thing to go flying up. If we get tailwind, this is going yeet.
All right. But yeah, pretty much everything is loaded up in the truck now, and we're gonna begin our hour or so journey down to visit our modification friends. All right, so for this hour drive, we're gonna get ourselves a nice blue Raz Bang. I typically never drink energy drinks, although ever since Bang kind of came out, the Blue Raz and the Unicorn ones are like the only 2 I'll ever drink. They're not bad. And then, I don't even know what this is. Some kind of Special K protein meal bar, because I'm a special guy. It kind of sucked. Okay, so this video is not going to be going into depth about like the entire ownership experience of this car, or why I'm selling it, or what I'm replacing it with, or anything like that. Well, I'm replacing it with some type of Corvette. I don't know which one yet, but that video will come at a later time. This video, I wanted to just focus on the ownership experience with these specific modifications. So my car makes 500 wheel horsepower on E85. And I say E85 in all caps because while this car's on, oops, sorry Talib, my bad bro. Well, sounds pretty good. But I say on E85 in all caps because now that I've been back on 93 for I guess about 2 or 3 weeks now, it is much slower on 93 octane. So my number one recommendation to anybody wanting to modify their 2018 or newer Mustang would be put it on E85. Not only do you get more peak horsepower and torque, so it probably takes your horsepower from, let's say, in my instance, maybe 480 to 500, we'll say. So maybe we'll say it gives you 20 horsepower. What it also does is gives you a lot more torque lower end, like further down the RPM range. So about, you know, 2,500 to 4,000 RPM. There's a lot more of a punch when you get on the gas. So ultimately, I would say that E85 is like the #1 most drastic changing factor when it comes to modifying this car. So if you're gonna modify it, try to figure out a way to include that somewhere in your build. Thing number 2 that does not add really any horsepower, to be quite honest with you, but you just need it, would be adding some type of ladder exhaust. I went with Corsa from day one. I think I had this car for maybe like, I don't know, 250 miles, and then I put a Corsa Sport catback system on this car. Absolutely love it. After owning a Corsa system and running Corsa, you know, now for almost a year, so I truly have nothing but good things to say about the entire Corsa brand and their products. So I've been running Corsa long tube headers along with a Corsa double X pipe and Corsa Sport mufflers. And I absolutely love it. I think this is the perfect combination for really any Mustang. I think if you do Corsa Extremes with headers, it's just a little obnoxious. But when you're just cruising around town or cruising on the highway, there's no drone. That's one big thing that Corsa likes to talk about, is their patented no drone technology. And it really works. It makes a big difference. After owning some exhaust in the past that were on the cheaper side and driving down the highway with a bunch of drone, and you're like, man, this isn't very enjoyable. After experiencing both sides of the spectrum there, it's definitely, you pay a premium to get a Corsa product, but after owning it, you see why. And since you have more air coming out of the engine with the headers and the better flowing exhaust and what have you, I would also recommend to have more air coming into the engine. So I would recommend getting some type of cold air intake. For me, I went with a JLT cold air intake. It's what I ran on my Hellcat, and I really loved it on the Hellcat. The most noticeable thing about cold air intakes isn't that you'll just feel like 100 more horsepower immediately, because that's not what they're designed to do. What you will notice is that the throttle response is much improved. Now, I'm sure some of that is in the tune to make this car specifically a little bit more responsive, but even when I had my Hellcat and I swapped over to a JLT cold air intake in that car, most noticeably the throttle response was like the biggest improvement, and immediately you just get on it and it's just right there, immediate power. And that's probably the best thing provided from an intake. Also from a roll, you probably pick up another, I don't know exact horsepower numbers here, but you pick up a little bit of extra horsepower, so that's always nice. Lastly, the last thing I'm going to talk about that I have done to this car is obviously you'll need some type of tune if you're going to run E85. So my high recommendation would be to go with Lund Racing. Like I said, I've ran this car with their tune for 5 months. Their entire just like ordering process and stuff was super simple. You just fill out some information about your car, they send you the little device, and then you plug it in and load the tune, and you're good to go. For me, maybe I got lucky, but I didn't have to do a single tune revision. It was just the tune they sent me. I did some data logging, sent it back, and they said, yeah, looks perfect. So maybe I got lucky. I'm sure not everybody is gonna go through that easy of a process, but for me it was super simple, and this tune definitely pulls strong. And I would also highly recommend going with Lund because they offer a flex fuel tune. So with a lot of those aftermarket tuning companies, you either just get a 93 octane tune or just an E85 tune. So that kind of sucks if, let's say, you're on a road trip and you got to find E85 stations, but there's not always E85 available. Flex fuel and a flex tune is definitely the way to go. You maybe lose, 5 horsepower, but not having a dedicated E85 tune, but I'd say just the convenience is just completely outweighs it, and I would highly recommend getting a flex fuel tune. That's the only tune that I ever ran on this car. You guys probably saw my dyno video where I tried out the flex fuel tune versus the dedicated E85 tune, and the dedicated E85 tune, it ended up making way less power because something was up with it. So never ended up finding out what was wrong with it. We thought we had data logged that pull. It turns out we didn't, so didn't have anything to really send to Lund to ask, hey, what's going on? But this exact car made 500 wheel horsepower on a flex fuel tune with Corsa catless long tube headers, Corsa sport mufflers, JLT intake, and a JLT oil catch can, and a Lund Racing tune. So very simple build, honestly very inexpensive to pick up the amount of horsepower that it did. I mean, 500 to the wheels, these things make about 420-ish stock, if I remember correctly, so that's about an 80 horsepower increase for really not that much money. 80 wheel horsepower, that is. It's probably closer to 100 extra horsepower to the engine. And then I also mentioned the JLT oil catch can. That's not something that is, you know, necessary to gain a whole bunch of extra power, but it is something good to have if you plan on keeping the car for a long time and you want to be friendly to your engine and just overall improve the health and longevity of your engine. Essentially what happens with that one is you get a whole bunch of oil blow-by. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube, you can look them up and do more like scientific research, but essentially you get a whole bunch of oil blow-by on some of these newer engines with the newer Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs, all the Dodge products. I've ran a catch can on just about every car that I've owned, and I'll show you when we get to J-Rods. I'll take the catch can off this thing. But the amount of oil collected in these catch cans is just insane, that otherwise would have gone right back into your intake, really. But yeah, guys, that is my modification list and my modification recommendations for anybody looking to modify their 2018 or newer Mustang. I mean, overall, I've absolutely loved driving this car with the modifications. I think that that is the way this car should have came from the factory, is with some, you know, a little bit of extra oomph. So I know going back to stock in this car, I'll be a little bit bummed. I know it's going to be, you know, obviously slower. It's going to be quiet. The throttle response was not very great when this car was stock, so not really looking forward to that. But as you guys know, there is a new car coming to the channel soon, and I mean, I'm quite honestly surprised I kept this car for as long as I did, because I was ready to get out of it pretty early on, but just never really pulled the trigger on anything. And overall, it's a very good car. It's a very good daily driver. It's fun, but overall, this car and this platform is just not really for me. After previously owning a Camaro, Corvette, Challenger, Charger, and now a Mustang, I would say that the Mustang, it's just not the one that I like the best. There's nothing really wrong with it, nothing really wrong with the platform. It's just I prefer, my personal preferences, stuff that the other cars offer. Can you make a ton of power with these cars when you start modifying them? Heck yeah. I think the engine's good for like 900 or like close to 1,000 horsepower. I think some people have actually gone over that with some of their twin turbo kits. So can you make a ton of power? Yes. But overall, I would just rather invest my money and do other stuff to a different car. Really, it's just a personal preference thing. Also, I have the chance to get out of this car for essentially what I paid for it when it was brand new. So to drive a car for 15,000 miles and really not lose much money, I think you guys would agree that that's a relatively good idea. Third gear. Did that this much in this car. I've actually been really easy on this car, but every time I did kind of, you know, have some fun with this car, it would always surprise me. It's pretty freaking quick. Alright, so we have arrived at J-Rod's speed shop now, and I got a few little modified cars out here, as always. You always got a bunch of fun stuff down here, but J-Rod Speed Shop located in Rosenberg, Texas. They do anything from Chevy to Ford. I think they do a little bit of Dodges. I told you guys earlier we were going to check out my catch can. How bad is it?
Not bad.
So yeah, Talib says it's not bad, but little does he know that's like 1,500 miles.
Oh.
So if you need a reason to buy a catch can, that right there should be a pretty good explanation. That's actually, I don't know how well you can tell. That's a pretty good amount of oil that this thing has caught. That's literally 1,500, maybe 2,000 miles on this car, and I'm actually really shocked.
All I know is that could be in your manifold.
Yeah, so you don't want that. So yeah, this will be the last time you guys see this car, well, with the headers and the exhaust and all that fun stuff. So next time you see it, it'll be back to stock. But we'll go check out J-Rod Speed Shop real quick and go see the parts. You just empty the catch can?
Yeah.
Oh, nice guy, Talib. Thank you, brother. Oh, J-Rod's usually here. It's throwing me off today. Yoo-hoo! Look at all these Fords in here. Man. What up, Junior? What do you got going on today, buddy?
Casual Friday.
Living the dream?
Yeah. Love day in paradise.
Are you excited for me to get another vet?
Yes.
Because you know I'm gonna come see you.
I know. Don't buy one that's modded.
Yeah, don't buy one that's stock and then take it to this guy and he'll make it modded for you. So you got some nice cars in here.
Not too bad, right?
So yeah, this is absolutely everything to take my car back to bone stock. So it looks like a lot laying here, but really it's all not that much. And yeah, next time my car's gonna be boring and slow and quiet. Exciting. All right, Mustang, be good. I'm gonna see you when you're back to being quiet and slow. But once again, shout out J-Rod Speed Shop. You guys are the real MVPs. And bye, Mustang. Bye.
Time to get a fast car.
Time to buy something fast with a freaking chop.
Nah, man, you gotta get yourself a 5 sim.